Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And this is going to be a very exciting and yet challenging century as the climate change is occurring at a very rapid rate. And at the same time, we're adding 2 billion new souls, yes, 2 billion new people to the planet that we're going to need to be able to take care of by 2050. And how we're going to be able to do that at a time when people are saying with a little over 7 billion people, the Earth is already challenged to provide the food, the fuel, and the fiber that's needed for these individuals. We have a gentleman sitting right beside me that's actually been working on this topic and this problem for a number of years, and actually has set up a very large center near Dulles International Airport in Washington, D.C. of the United States. His name is Charles H. Botwick. He is the president of what's called the CHB Infrastructure, Technology, and Marketing Group, LLC. And Chuck, as he goes by, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thanks. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
You're doing fantastic work, Chuck, and we really want to honor you and what you're doing. And just tell us a little bit about what is your center?
Well, the center is focused on 30 years of work to focus on the identification and commercialization of new technology that's applicable to water, power, housing, communications, all the infrastructure systems that are supporting our life every day. That can be in a disaster situation or in a development situation.
I know that there are many new technologies and products that you're actually introducing literally to the United States and the world through your center, because I've been there 3 or 4 times now to visit with you and meet a number of the people. But at the same time, many of these really are just off-the-shelf kinds of products and services that are available to people. So how are you actually going about this process of matching, what you have, what you're identifying through the center to make sure it gets to the people that really do need it, whether it's here or abroad?
Well, that's a good question. And what we're trying to do is deal with applicable technologies. What's appropriate for a village in Africa may not be appropriate for downtown Singapore. So we're looking at, for example, water purification systems, lighting systems, new generations of batteries, which will be featured later on the program from one of the members of our center. And the focus is to identify and bring together technologies, package them in ways they haven't been used before, to create strong value in different applications.
Well, looking at it, of course, I was first introduced to your center. This is this disaster planning and disaster recovery, and you said, well, we're much broader than that. And so why don't you take that and let's just run with it as far as how wide and what is the depth as far as the technology, services, and products that you're actually introducing through your center.
Sure. Well, part of the focus of the center is it's a unique, one-of-a-kind facility, no place quite like it in the world, where these technologies can actually be demonstrated and be seen in one place. We're focused on bringing technologies which together are, to use an overused term, synergistic. For example, later in the program, we'll be focusing on housing and so forth, and we have technologies, for example, to combine with the housing, the capabilities for clean water, renewable energy in terms of efficient power, and so on.
Yeah, looking at that, I know that you really started this almost as a showroom concept, if you will. And I know it's a little broader than that, but now you've really morphed this into where it's an educational and a training facility, and also it looks like you'll be able to broadcast there some of the training programs, whether it's within the United States or around the globe. So how did you come up with this idea to use this really more than a showroom, but also for education and training?
Well, training for the application of new technology is very important for companies that are bringing new technology to the marketplace. Our location provides a place to bring potential end users from all over the world, as we're located right next to Dulles Airport. People can come whether they're from embassies locally or they're flying in from around the world, and they can actually see and touch the equipment and have a chance to see the value of new technologies for their particular end use.
Well, I know that there's really a mix because we've talked about in this particular program, it's advanced energy, healthcare, education, and housing, and actually even goes beyond that. So what are some of the themes that you like to have in your center, and how do you see evolving those themes over, say, the next 5, 10 to 15 years?
Well, we like to refer to it in a broad sense. Some people say, well, you're focused on resources and technology for disaster response, but what we're really providing are infrastructure solutions, meaning all those systems that support us in our life every day. We all rely on water, power, communications, security, medical capabilities every day. In a disaster situation, these are interrupted, so you need quick to mobilize technology. In terms of development projects to develop housing, for example, in diverse places as Mongolia and Peru, you require taking these technologies and applying them towards sustainable development.
Well, looking at this is a fantastic photograph because I know you really do offer the seminars and information about various technologies. And it's interesting because you have so many people there that are innovators and are developing new ideas and concepts themselves, and yet they're really educating all the other ones that are there to bring about these innovations.
Right.
So talking about this synergistic avenue that you've created there, what do you see as some of the principles that people are actually learning that they can take away about even their own technologies?
Well, there's a collaboration between all the different companies that locate in the facility that really becomes quite exciting because, as the photograph shows, we sit around and we talk to one another and we share ideas about real applications in the world. So that suddenly we see that if we combine this battery technology with this portable lighting technology and we have a portable piece of medical equipment, suddenly we have something very unique to offer the world. So the collaboration is a big part of what the center offers to both participants that are looking to commercialize new technology as well as visitors who are looking for solutions, whether it's here at home or globally.
Well, looking at your location, you're at Dulles International Airport, which is, one of the largest airports on the east coast of the United States, actually within the country, and it has a very large cargo handling area, and you're literally right under the flight pattern.
Yeah, it can get pretty noisy there. You've been there when we've had programs.
No, I'm talking about from the standpoint, though, it's fantastic where you actually are so strategically located that you have access to about 180 embassies that are here. And of course, there are a number of major universities within this region. So strategically, it's a very ideal spot. So looking at that, how does the international viewers say, how do we get involved, or how do we learn more about this center, and how do they access it once they arrive in the United States?
Well, we are only just minutes from Dulles Airport. Interested participants and companies which have innovative technology which would be interested to participate can go to our website at www.chb-tech.com, that's tech.com, and learn about what we're doing in the center. And the training aspect, I want to come back to that, is very important because we have the opportunity to bring groups in from all over the world to learn about new technologies, for companies to train people how to use their technology and to develop a very unique one-stop shop facility both for providers of technology and for those that need solutions in the world.
Well, looking at the training aspect of this, and then also the idea of really allowing people to share their ideas and really to come up with maybe a new takeoff on what they're already doing. What are some of the technologies that are coming through that you find that are really exciting and really you think can really be leveraged to help as we add these 2 billion new people on the planet?
Well, we're always on the lookout for breaking technologies, and I hope that some of the viewers will contact us with information on technologies they may have. Some of the ones that are encompassed in the center currently, for example, we have a water purification and wastewater treatment technology which will truly change the world in terms of being able to provide potable water, treat wastewater and recycle it to complete potability without the generation of sludge. That's totally revolutionary. These types of developments are the type of technologies we're looking for and are housing in the center. Others will be featured on this program, others we've learned about from this program. But also we have state-of-the-art medical devices. We also have security equipment from various countries in the world. We also have state-of-the-art communications, housing and sheltering, and it's the collaboration of all these technologies, not one by one, but together, becomes very exciting, and we're creating a lot of interesting opportunities for the participants and solutions for groups all over the world.
Well, we only have about 1 minute left, so it needs to be quick. But you're already reaching out beyond the borders, because I know you've had multiple visits to the country of Mongolia. That's very exciting, and their eco park they want to have there. A gentleman's now right down in Peru, right outside of Lima, looking at a 650 house subdivision, all advanced technologies coming out of the center. What do you see over the next 5 or 10 years as far as the growth, the evolution of the center?
Well, we're looking to put more centers all over the globe that would be similar to the one at Dulles. This is the flagship and the first one, and we're looking to replicate these great resource centers globally as both commercialization, incubator, and centers for people to look for solutions, whether we put one in Istanbul or Shanghai or Abu Dhabi or Lima, Peru. We're looking at all those possibilities for the future.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing, Chuck. We're glad to have you here. This is Charles. It goes by the name of Chuck H. Botwick, who is the president of CHB Infrastructure, Technology, and Marketing Group with the center at Dulles International Airport in Washington, D.C. of the United States. And we thank you for being with us as we bring you these exciting technologies, services, and products to make a difference as we create the Emerald Planet. Fantastic, buddy.
Okay.
I tell you.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo.
I would like to speak English better.
Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals.
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
Are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey, Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we attempt to find the 1,000 best practices. What we're looking for really is the best of the best in class as far as how we're going to take care of a planet with 9 billion people by 2050. And instead of having people that are just merely existing or subsisting, we want to have something so that they're actually thriving on the planet. That many people say that there's no way that the planet now with over 7 billion people can add 2 billion more and take care of them. But yet there are many people that are involved in advanced technology, services, and products that absolutely believe that we can take care of beyond the 12 billion they're saying is going to be on the planet by the end of the century. And we have a gentleman who's really been working on this as far as energy is concerned, and we all know that power, along with the water, food, and also the fuel and fiber is needed to have a thriving world and planet. His name is Christopher Donovan. He is the CEO of Energy Dense Power Systems. And I'm emphasizing dense because I've looked at your equipment and you threatened me to pick it up, and I think I'll leave it alone because I think it's a little more dense than I want to move around. But anyway, Chris, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you, and tell us a little bit about this energy dense, emphasize that again, power systems.
Well, Energy Dense Power Systems, we're a U.S. company. We're started in 2008. We are a manufacturer and integrator of lithium ion and other battery chemistry systems. We manufacture what we believe to be the most powerful energy footprint in the smallest amount of space. So, for example, one of our most popular products is a 1 kilowatt system that only weighs 16 pounds. That takes the place of about 100 pounds of lead acid battery. In addition to that, whereas a lead acid battery will only recharge 50 to 100 times, you can recharge this up to many thousands of times.
That is absolutely incredible, Chris, to think you're doing that. So I guess the next time you ask me to pick up, then it's not so bad. If it's only 16 pounds,
you should pick it up.
I think I could be able to do that. So looking at it and looking at this chart, just tell us what we're looking at here, and then we'll get into the clients and all those things. But how do you fit into this very complicated schema?
Well, the chart that's being displayed is really the end goal for any sort of deployed or fixed system. You want to rely, or rather you want to reduce the reliance on fossil fuels and petroleum. So to put together a completely integrated system, you want to be able to use solar panels, you want to be able to use wind turbine, you want to be able to use fuel cells, whatever else is in the field, so that you can have one system that's not reliant on one particular source of fuel, specifically petroleum.
Now looking at this, we're talking about the battery bank down at the bottom. Of course, you have the generator and all that. And so what are you either taking away, making more efficient, or allowing to be able to reduce the use of fossil fuels as far as this diagram is concerned?
Well, that's a great question. And as it pertains to the diagram, when you see down at the bottom the battery banks, traditionally people have used lead acid batteries as their source of power. Now, lead acid batteries in my world are dumb batteries. There's not a lot of engineering in them. There's not much of a battery management system that you can put on top of them to have them give increased performance.
Plus, they've been around for literally decades at the same time, so they really haven't been improved that much.
No, it's very, very old technology. With the advent of lithium battery systems, what we do is we give the user an opportunity to recharge from anything in the field. So you expand your capability, and we allow them to do it in a much more efficient manner. So a good rule of thumb, when you have a lead acid battery and you throw 100 watts at it so that it can recharge, it takes about 20. With a lithium-ion battery, you throw 100 at it, it'll take 90. So you need less power going in to fully recharge these systems. Makes it more efficient for the user.
Yeah, that's incredible. And of course, too, as far as the globe is concerned, anytime we can reduce the dependency or use of fossil fuels, that's a very good thing because,
Absolutely.
you know, seriously, everything points to the fact we really are going to be adding 2 billion new people to the planet. And so in that case, we need to figure out new, more efficient ways to be able to provide power for them. And I'm going to leave this up, although you've provided other images. Looking at this, we're adding all these new people to the planet. We have this system that we're looking at right here. How is your system then going to allow us to be much more efficient? And so let's say that in this typical example here, you know, you're taking care of 6 or 10 people. What are you going to be able to multiply so that we're taking care of how many more additional people in this type of scenario?
One of the best aspects of our systems is that they are completely scalable. So we use a basic building block of either 1 kilowatt or 6.5 kilowatt, and we can connect these in series together. So whether the need is 6, 60, 600, it's just a function of multiplying the system. So the end users are not in a situation where they're capped in as far as their ability to service these people. And as you said, with 2 billion more people coming online, there's a tremendous need for power, and it's not just a case of reducing consumption of fossil fuels. You know, in the developed world, we want to reduce consumption of fossil fuels. In the undeveloped world, they just want to have anything.
They just want to have energy.
Give me any sort of power. Right. So, you know, this enables them to do that.
Who's a typical client for your company, and how would they actually use your equipment? Now, we have it looks like an operating theater here, and so
you know what
are we looking at here, Chris?
Well, there are two cores to the business. There's the federal side, and then there's the commercial side. The picture you're seeing is actually from the federal side. That's the U.S. Special Forces forward military, forward surgical teams. They use one of our battery systems, an AC/DC system, to literally run an entire suite of equipment. Now, think about that. They are operating on patients and running an entire suite of equipment on one battery system that's being recharged with 2 of we also make solar panels, our flexible foldable solar panels.
Now this is absolutely incredible. Look at this, all the sophistication and the complexity of this equipment. And as you know, in most hospitals, there are tremendous users as far as electrical power is concerned. And you're saying there are 2 solar panels and you've got several units and that's it? It runs this whole thing?
They are in that particular example, that suite of medical equipment is 6 pieces of equipment, including a ventilator, blood warmers, and the associated equipment. And all of it is being run off one that's a very small unit. That's only a 22-pound unit.
Is that what we're looking at right here?
No, this is a much larger system. This is the top of our line. It's a 6.5 kilowatt lithium-ion battery system. Extremely high output, extremely rugged, extremely durable. I mean, that unit as it sits is a COTS product, but it's ready to go into the most rugged environment available.
Now, looking at these 2, okay, let's do a little example here. So we have this suite of equipment. And it's all very sophisticated, forward base, and then we have this to run it. So what would be the size as far as what is actually running this operating theater? And then what would you need and what would this actually run?
That unit, for comparison, the smaller unit will run 6, 7 pieces of equipment on an ongoing basis. That unit would be able to run 10 medical suites. We have applications with the larger unit where the larger unit could actually be bolted on to a generator, a petroleum generator. You know, the military and lots of other people deploy generators all over the world. Well, if you have a large petroleum burning generator, they're never used at capacity, right? So they run constantly, they're not always used. By bolting that onto the generator, the battery will actually take the load, disperse the load, and then when it gets down to 5 or 10%, we can kick the generator on. There's an auto start to it. It charges up the battery system, and then the generator goes offline. So in a situation like that, you have a quantifiable amount of petroleum that you are saving that client.
Yeah, and my understanding is, and this seems like an incredible number, but I've heard if you're delivering something into a conflict zone, say like in Afghanistan or Iraq or now the Horn of Africa with Al-Qaeda moving in there, that a gallon of fuel could be as much as, if you look at the total cost of it, could be $100, for a gallon of fuel. So if you can bring in these systems that you have, that's a tremendous savings as far as not only the military and allowing it, Christian mission critical, but at the same time a huge reduction to the taxpayer.
It's an enormous reduction to the taxpayer, and some of our military clients have actually said that the cost is upwards of $250 a gallon for some of these.
It just seems incredible. It's mind-boggling.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Now look at what we're looking at here. Now these are all daisy chained together. So what is happening? I guess you're charging all this, and then you're sharing this throughout an entire building.
That particular scene is a UPS system for a very, very large building and an enormous computer room. So you have our 6.5 kilowatt system that is actually chained together. I believe there's 16 units in that particular picture. So you have upwards of 100 kilowatts. And that, will run that computer system in the event of going down for more than 24 hours.
So this is a redundancy. So this is really the backup to the backup.
That's right.
If you will. Okay. And this is one of your small units. You actually demonstrated this for me. Tell us what we're actually looking at, because it seems very simple.
On our COTS products, some of our smaller, when I say COTS, commercial off the shelf, our smaller products, the most energy dense systems there are called smart batteries, right? Very similar to a laptop battery. Well, we take these batteries and we put anywhere between 2 and 50 all together, which seems like a relatively easy thing, but smart batteries have their own inherent electronics to the battery. So if you try to put more than 2 together, it's an electronics nightmare. So our battery management system overlays the embedded electronics, makes them work in concert, simultaneous charge, discharge, complete system awareness for the end user, so that the end user can see how much power is being used, how much runtime they have, all these other things that are associated for
And I think this chart actually has something to do with what you're just talking about.
Well, that chart is specific to the larger battery systems, but it breaks down the voltage, the capacities, and you can see that up to 225 amp hours, at 28 volts. On some of these larger systems. But that particular unit is the one that you didn't want to pick up. It's only 16 pounds and about a kilowatt of power.
Okay, well, we only have about less than 30 seconds. What do you see for the future of your organization?
I see us in a situation where we can literally bring the power for clean water, medicine, lighting, the basics for the undeveloped world in a very, very inexpensive footprint with a very high output.
Well, I tell you, I think it's absolutely fantastic. We have Christopher Donovan, who is the CEO, Energy Dense Power Systems, and it seems like we really are coming up with solutions to where we're going to be by 2050 with 2 billion new people. And thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet as we're looking at these new technologies to how to take care of a planet with some 9 billion people as we create the Emerald Planet. Nice job.
Thank you, sir.
I helped turn my child's public school into a whole new kind of school. One with a curriculum that really motivates kids. One that has extended hours, 6 days a week, year-round. With loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One that has support services like medical and dental right there. A school where parents' involvement is encouraged, where teachers have more time to teach, and students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. You can help turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
It's coming. Right to your neighborhood. And when it does, you may be surprised. It's your Social Security statement of your benefits, and it's going to help you plan your financial future. Your benefit statement will tell you how much Social Security you're eligible to receive and when you'll get it. Then you'll know how much you need to save for retirement, because that's coming too. The future is in your hands. Choose to save.
The toxic fumes from this meth lab are seeping into Jamie's sinus cavity. Ammonia vapors invade her throat. Toxic gases fill her lungs. Jamie's body is deteriorating. And she doesn't even know it.
Jamie, dinner.
So, who has a drug problem now? Find out how meth affects you at drugfree.org/.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations. Nations from, the very most advanced developed countries all the way to what they call emerging market countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. And we're looking at areas of those three specifically of very rapid population growth. And as we move towards 2050, the majority of the new people that are going to be coming on the planet are going to be coming out of these three major regions. Again, South America, Southeast Asia, and Africa. And so we talk about the food, the medicine, education, even the fuel, the power that they need for this. One of the things that we really don't talk too much about, and we're going to deal with that right now, is housing. How are we going to take care of 2 billion new people that are going to be coming on the planet and provide decent housing for each and every one of these? So it's not come onto the planet and then just kind of exist for a while and then pass from the scene, but how are we going to bring them on? And this gentleman is actually traveling the globe at almost a supersonic rate. This is Richard. He goes by the name of Rick Kina. He's the president, CEO of the International Green Structures, and a very innovative product, Rick, and thank you for coming on Emerald Planet to share about this.
Thank you, Sam, for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
And I like your logo, so it fits right in with Emerald Planet very nicely. But tell us, what is the International Green Structures, and what's so unique about what it is that you're doing, and why you spending 100,000 miles traveling around the globe telling everybody about it?
Well, actually, it's probably more like 250,000
yes,
this
exactly.
year. But, International Green Structures was formed in 2006. Our primary focus at the time was to come up with an alternative form of disaster housing for FEMA, using a technology.
And FEMA is?
Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Okay, so the United States, because
right.
we're global.
That's
so
right. After Hurricane Katrina, the U.S. government looked for alternative forms of disaster housing. So our technology was evaluated over a 2.5-year period, and we were one of 6 companies selected to provide that technology.
Yeah, that's incredible. And looking at it, tell us a little more about the technology and why is it so unique that you're able, in essence, to take, the byproduct of grain
yes.
and turn it into building materials.
Yes, well, this technology has been around since the 1940s. 1942, I believe, was when the original patents were issued. It's called compressed agricultural fiber. And essentially, what is done with the technology is we like to speak more about creating an economic model than the actual housing itself. But you'll see a picture of one of our panels, the cross-section of a panel. But essentially what we do is we buy the biomass residue or the byproduct of rice, wheat, or sorghum from the farmers, creating an immediate second cash crop. We then subject that bales of straw to extreme heat and pressure, over 400 degrees Fahrenheit and about 16,000 pounds per square inch to compress it into a panelized structure. What IGS developed was a simple light gauge steel framing system to quickly clip those panels together to make structures or housing.
Yeah, looking at this, the CAF, tell us again what CAF stands for?
Compressed agricultural fiber.
I think that's something that's very important for people to know about, because many people, when they're walking through the fields and they see the shaft and they're thinking, well, this will just be plowed under, this will become humus for the soil. But what you're doing is you're telling the farmers, look, we actually do have a second income stream for you. So looking at this, when you're contracting, are you going through the farmer co-ops, or how are you making contact so that you actually have an ongoing and ready supply of natural resources to be able to make this material?
Yes, well, co-ops and a lot of these emerging markets, we have to use the smaller farms because that's the type of farms that are there. We have been fortunate in many cases to find some very large farms and work with those companies.
Well, looking at this agribusiness development model, I think this is what this slide is all about here. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing, Rick. And then really more than importantly of that is in some countries, you take like a Burundi, almost 95% of the people are still tied to the land. You look at India, you know, a great proportion of the people are still tied to the land. And so any way that you can have second, third, or other income streams is very important. But at the same time that we don't waste a single anything as far as a natural resource, so we can again take care of housing all these people. So what are we looking at in this process?
Yes, Sam. Well, just first off, again, the problem is at epidemic proportions currently. You know, over the last 20 or 30 years, there's been a huge shift of populations from the rural areas to the urban areas, creating the urban slums that we see now. Today, there's over 827 million people living in those slums. Projected to grow to 1 billion by 2020. There's another 45 to 50 million refugees and IDPs, which has really created a need for shelters and housing. Our model is, again, we produce a house or a structure, but our model is really an economic model that we're introducing to countries. And the reason I've been to so many countries in the past year, we introduced the model 18 months ago, is we're being called weekly to go to these countries because what we can do. We start with the farmer. We buy the waste, immediately creating a second, third, possibly fourth cash crop for them, because in many of these countries, the rice, wheat, or sorghum can be harvested more than once a year.
Yeah, if we can bring this slide up so we have a full view on that, I think it's going to be easier. There we go.
Right.
Go ahead, Rick.
So then you're also creating additional agricultural jobs because the straw needs to be baled properly to be fed into our machines.
And also it needs to be, being an old farmer, rancher myself, it needs to be dried in a certain way so you're not building up any kind of molds or foreign material actually in the straw itself, too.
That's correct. So once the straw is baled, then it creates transportation jobs getting to an in-country factory, which we are currently designing in 2 countries now. Those factories will house the storage barns to do that drying, as you say. The machine, then the straw is fed into the machine to create the panel. The building kits are pre-engineered with a light gauge steel framing system, creating additional transportation jobs, shipping them out to the sites. Of course, then you need your engineers, your contractors, your subcontractors, your material vendors.
Well, even your architects and many others, the bankers, everybody's involved in this.
So that the box that says durable there is an actual unfinished structure that is built in about a day. So we are building structures in 1 to 2 days, and then the final picture there is an affordable house that you would see in Africa. And this particular model, we've done quite a bit of research and economic studies, and that model for an in-country factory in 1 year can create about 2,000 jobs and impact the GDP of that local economy about $40 million US.
$40 million US and 2,000 new jobs. That's absolutely incredible. And what we're looking at here, I believe this is both the steel framing that you're combining with this special panel, the CAF. And so looking at this, how much training goes into this, and what kind of equipment do you need as far as putting these houses together?
Well, I don't know what your construction background is, but I could teach you in about 4 hours how to put this structure together.
I've done about 200 different projects.
Okay, well, there you go. Actually, we built a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house that was about 110 square meters, which is about 1,200 square feet, utilizing the military soldiers in Uganda. We used 6 of them with 2 of our trainers, and the structure was built in 2 days. The house was finished in 14.
That's absolutely incredible. And also, too, my understanding is that you can actually do multiple levels on these structures, so it's not only single story?
Well, we've designed for 2-story. Quite frankly, we're very focused on providing simple structures, simple geometric figures, because we're looking to affect mass quantities of people. If we get into specific, fancy designs, you might as well be a custom home builder. That's not what we're interested in doing. Our factories are being designed to be able to produce enough panel for 12 to 20,000 houses per year per factory.
So what you're doing then, if you're looking at a country like Uganda or maybe even a place like South Africa or Ghana, wherever it may be, is that you want to actually have multiple factories.
That's correct.
So you're engaging the local farming community in each of these localities, whether it's a county or state, whatever geopolitical location it is, and then put the factories there.
That's correct. We are going into the countries. We are in 6 countries in Africa now, or Central Asia. We've just been awarded a small project in a little island called Vanuatu, if you can believe that. We'll have to ship that product from the U.S. But these countries are asking us weekly to come because there's such a demand. When I go in and I speak to different housing ministers and people about projects, they'll say to us, we're evaluating several different technologies. And I say, you don't need to evaluate. You have a shortage of 2 million houses in Uganda. You need to adopt everything you can. And, this is just a story that's over and over. 16 million houses required in Nigeria. 1.5 million in Ghana. It's just a never-ending story.
Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. And of course, we're adding new people every day to the planet. And so it just accentuates this whole thing. But these are actually very nice looking structures that you have here. And it looks like some of these are in tropical areas, so you build them up off the ground, keep the vermin and moisture and all that from underneath. So you really can adapt these to virtually any geographical location or any climatic zone.
Yes, that's correct. There was a study done, many years of studies done by a gentleman named Nicholas Ray from Cambridge University. There's five things that you should consider when you do any type of housing: your geography, your topography, the cultural adaptation of the people, flexible technology, and the whole life cycle cost of a house. And a house, those houses that you were showing in those pictures before are in Louisiana, Alabama, some different states in the U.S. This one here is in Ghana. Now, what's adaptable and acceptable in Louisiana is not in Ghana or Uganda. The Africans do not want a hollow sounding house. They don't think it's safe, they don't think it's secure. So we've had to adapt our panels and finish them with concrete and put them directly on concrete slabs without the steel framing system so they would be adaptable to the local culture.
Well, we've run out of time, Rick. This is absolutely fascinating, so we'll have to continue this dialogue. But in about 15 seconds, what do you see for the future of your organization?
Well, I've done 17 trips out of the country this year, and so we're looking really to put a big dent in the housing crisis. This is a new community that we're soon be offering that will be able to be built in days. So we're just really pleased to be on your show today, and thank you very much.
It's absolutely fantastic what you're doing, and I have done over 200 additions and even up to medical facilities over the years. So I've been involved in this for quite a while, but it's just fantastic. Thank you for being with us, and as we look around the globe of housing, as we create the Emerald Planet.
Some dreams are universal. Dreams that inspire us. Multiple sclerosis is a devastating disease that changes lives forever. The National MS Society does more for people with MS than any organization in the world. But we can't do it alone. To get involved, visit us online at nationalmssociety.org. or call 1-800-FIGHT-MS. This is why we're here. Because nobody dreams of having multiple sclerosis.
What's wrong with this picture? Half of young Americans can't locate economic powers like Japan and India. 20% can't even find the Pacific Ocean. Without geography, our children aren't ready for the world. Geography is everywhere. It's incredible creatures, rhythm, fashion, flavor. It's economics and politics. It's change. Understanding connections between people and places is critical in the 21st century. That's why we created mywonderfulworld.org. Go there now for your free parent and teacher action kits and give our kids the power of global knowledge. Because kids who understand our world today can succeed in it tomorrow.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President and Executive Director of Emerald Planet and the Director and host for the Emerald Planet TV. We come to you weekly and looking at the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products in over 144 different nations. And of course, we broadcast to all 214 countries and territories around the globe to bring what we consider the best of the best as far as best practices are concerned. As we go to a planet with 9 billion souls by 2050, and so how are we going to provide the fuel, the fiber, and the food for that many people, and at the same time to increase actually the quality of life that they have. I have 3 gentlemen sitting with me that have been working on this and thinking about it for a number of years. Actually, gentlemen, I haven't counted up the number of years we've all been working at this, but I'd say we're probably approaching 90 to 100 years, which is actually not a bad way to do it. But right beside me is Charles H. Botwick, who is the president of CHB Infrastructure, Technology, and Marketing Group. To his left is Christopher Donovan, who is the CEO of the Energy Dense Power Systems. And on the extreme left is Richard, who goes by Rick Kina, who is the organization as far as the green National Green Structures. So, gentlemen, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to have you here. And I'm going to let you kick off, Chuck, because you're the one that has this great center out at Dulles International Airport near Washington, D.C. And looking at that, one, just tell us the name of it, but then why put a center in Washington, D.C.?
Well, it's the CHB Demo and Tech Center, and the focus is to bring best practices, best technology from all over the world, wherever we find it, to support the growing infrastructure demands of the planet for water, power, medical, communication, security, and to bring the best practices together and to collaborate to provide solutions around the world.
I'm going to ask you the second question, but looking at, you got Chris right beside you and Rick on his left, and you've brought these gentlemen together and you're now sharing this not only domestically but internationally, because you've taken the trips over to Mongolia, you've got people in Peru. Rick is jet setting all over the globe, going in many different countries, the garden spots like Uganda and many places like that. So in looking at all this, why is the fact that you're really allowing these people to come in there, and at the same time, what do you see long term as far as the real impact of allowing the world to know about Chris with his dense power packs and Rick with his very unique building systems?
Well, what we're trying to do in this center is to bring to the attention of the largest possible number of people and institutions in the world about technologies that can help solve local problems that are applicable at the local level. By bringing companies like Chris's and International Green Structures together, we're actually collaborating on projects to make more efficient housing that's applicable for different areas, to provide power solutions, to provide housing that also has certain green benefits. So the focus of the center is very much on collaboration and packaging technologies in ways that they haven't been done before, and in applications that are location specific.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. And Chris, looking at what you're doing, and I was teasing you a little earlier about this dense nature of what you're doing, but you're really miniaturizing the ability to generate power so you can use less solar panels or less wind turbines or what have you. Because even if you're generating it from renewables, the less power that you can use actually is probably the best kilowatt that you can possibly have. Absolutely. But looking at what you're doing, how is being in a center like what Chuck has beneficial to you?
Well, it's beneficial in a lot of different ways. You know, when you're an individual company promoting an individual product, that's great. However, you know, in us in particular, nothing works without power, but you need to have those other components, you know, that are all associated together. You know, Chuck's done an excellent job in grouping these best-in-class companies together so that we have an opportunity to promote a finished product or a complete solution to a client. You can buy a battery, but if you don't have the equipment to power it, it doesn't matter. Or you need the things to recharge that battery. You need to be able to power the individual homes, you know, the medical equipment, the water purification, all those sorts of things. So it's a great opportunity, you know, to collaborate and develop a finished product for a client.
Well, Rick, you've been going into, I think, if I just kind of mentally calculate the number of countries that you were rattling off earlier, a dozen or more countries, let's just leave it at that. And so looking at the center that Chuck has and looking at the energy solutions that Chris is providing, when you're going in these countries, are you actually taking a complete solution, or is the fact is that you really want to just emphasize as far as the green nature of the building materials itself, how to get them up fast, or how do you integrate all these various things that you're actually learning about through Chuck Center?
Well, I think it's a great center from what I've heard about it. When we go into these countries, we're more introducing our economic model right now. The applicability of the center is being able to offer more products that will help them. If you can imagine, if you're going to go build housing in a rural community, there is no infrastructure. They need power, they need water, they need everything you can think of imaginably. We have just one small solution to the problem.
Yeah, well, looking at that, of course, you know, one small solution is the real need as far as the structures are concerned. And of course, what you're doing is you're actually taking a local product, which is the residue as far as the rice, sorghum, and wheat in those areas. And there's something I didn't ask you before. What other types of residue could you use as far as producing your product?
Well, I'm asked that question every place I go, probably 1,000 times. But right now it's rice, wheat, or sorghum because there's a natural binding agent in there when we subject it to the extreme heat and pressure. It's called lignin that changes composition and it binds the straw together. We may be able in the future to use other materials, but those are the three right now.
Chris, looking at your product and as far as your electrical systems, I know that you're saying now that you can actually take a couple of solar panels or wind turbine or what have you to recharge these. What are we looking at as far as in developing countries, which is really one of the focuses that we have right now, not like the United States or Western Europe, Japan, and somewhere like that, is what is the cost differential over, you know, the grid in most of these countries is the diesel backup generator. That's all they have. And you get that maybe 2 or 3 hours in a day. You're looking at $8, $9 a gallon and it's usually very dirty in these places. So how do you differentiate the cost and say, hey, this is a way to go for the future, regardless of the country?
You know, that's a great question because ultimately in these developing countries it comes down to dollars and cents. You know, we can present a cost model that ultimately is less expensive than any other option that they have available right now. So is there initial upfront cost? Yes, some. Okay, but long term, you can see the cost benefit, you know, and a return on that investment sometimes is in as little as 3 to 6 months.
That's absolutely incredible. And of course there too, even if you're in areas which are more rural, you know, like in Central Africa, places like that, you know, when you have all these diesel generators going, I mean, it gets to be very dirty air, very stinky, and it's very bad for the lungs with the heavy particulate. So looking at the center, Chuck, and what you're doing out near Dulles International Airport, what kinds of things do you think the people coming in, they're excited, they want to sell their technology or provide their service or their product, but yet what are you seeing that they're actually learning by being in this facility with you?
I think they're learning that it's a very big world out there. A lot of companies that maybe are domestic U.S. companies are learning that there are great applications for their products worldwide. And being right in Washington, we have 190 embassies. We have every international non-governmental organization has some presence there. We have international development organizations and so on. So when people are involved, which have a product or solution, like the gentlemen that are with us tonight, they're seeing new applications and new combinations of ways to get their product utilized in the world.
Yeah, looking at the center, Rick, and of course you have this very innovative building material that you're using. You said actually goes back to the 1940s. And
Yes.
so in a sense, you're rediscovering and improving and perfecting something that's been around for quite a while and almost unknown to people. But looking at some of the other clients and people that are exhibiting, what other kinds of things that as you're moving across these different countries are they now asking you about? So in essence, you're saying, hey, I've got the housing solution, I can cover that for you. And then the Minister of Housing, the Minister of whatever it is says, and by the way, I want these next 5 things. What are the next 5 things that you're getting asked about?
Well, the biggest one's money, if you can imagine. So, but no, I would say that they're coming to us saying, we just need basic structures. If you look at a house in some of these areas, we're talking about one light bulb in there. So it's very simple solution.
I was going to say, and that's a blessing if you have one light bulb.
And Chris's technology is going to could take care of a whole series of houses, quite frankly. So, electricity is a big thing, and water. They're some of the most basic needs, and food, and we help the food stabilization product. If the farmers continue to migrate to the urban areas, who's going to produce the food? Mm-hmm. And this is a big issue here. So.
Yeah. Well, and also too, as far as the fiber that you're bringing in through the sorghum, the wheat, and the rice, you're allowing a second, third, or fourth revenue stream, which maybe can stabilize, because what they're saying by 2050 is well over 80% of all human beings on the planet are going to be living in urban areas. Right. And so what that really means is already happening in places even as sophisticated as Japan, Germany, and France, that vast swaths of agricultural land is just being abandoned.
Yes.
The towns are being abandoned, the animals and the forest are actually moving in to urban areas. It sounds really strange when we're adding all these people, and yet we're abandoning the areas. So we've absolutely run out of time, gentlemen. Thank you for being with us, and it's just absolutely been fantastic. And Chuck, you're doing great work out there.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.
Good job. And Chris, we want to chat with you definitely some more about these vehicles that we want to use on the Emerald Trek. It's only 300 and some thousand miles. We're going to be driving this though, Rick. We're not going to be flying around like you're doing. But thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet. And we look forward to having you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.